Exactly, Christiana. Exactly. That's how it's done. You build on your logo. Your logo is your foundation. It's the foundation of your house. You build on that to build your branding suite. Absolutely, you got it. Okay, so leave behind big business goals is going to pop up dispenser. Okay, so I read through this once already, but I just wanted to and this is interesting. I think it's interesting. You're saying that there's no sociocultural issues here, but it doesn't exclude anyone. And I think that's an important consideration. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the pieces, Christiana. Uh, Let me see. Okay, oh, here they are, right here. I want to start with the business card. All right, now I think this is problematic. I do. And I'm going to tell you why. There's a couple of principles, and if you've listened through the some of these video critiques, you've heard me say these two terms because I brought this up a couple of times. One is called Occam's razor. It's a principle of design, and the other is called Hick's law. And both of them kind of point to simplicity in design. Occam's razor is very interesting because it states that when you add something to a composition, you have to be careful. Well, not necessarily composition, anything, landscaping, landscape design, fashion design, anything. When you add something, it takes away from what's already there. Okay, and I think this is a classic example of that. This is a gorgeous logo. I think it's just fascinating. I love it. But this is taking away from this. And you want this to be the star of the show. That's your logo. That's what your branding is built on. That logo. I think this is stealing the show away. It's removing the logo as first position in hierarchy and creating this kind of swoop as first position in hierarchy. You don't want to do that. I don't think we need it, Christiana. What I would recommend with the business card is just to reassemble. Since your name and your discipline is in your logo, you don't have to include your name and discipline, right? So I would just orient this as horizontal and reconfigure this either left, don't center align it, but you want left or right aligned, depending on what you think is more appropriate. Then that takes us to the letterhead. And again, this is just, I'm going to be honest with you here, and I don't mean to sound discouraged, but it's just decimating your logo, just decimating it. Your logo doesn't have a chance against this big, very weighty, very heavy, sharp, almost in terms of visual communication, this is not comfortable. Okay, because visual communication, a lot of what we perceive has to do with the inherent nature for survival. Okay, so you probably remember that from your introduction to visual communications classes. So when we see something sharp, it's painful to us. We relate that to something painful or dangerous. Okay, so when we see this shape, to me it looks like one of those, like a sickle or something. It appears to be very dangerous and sharp, and I think it's working against you. I really do. I don't recommend it. I think other than that, the logo right here, boom, that's it. Okay, now I want to run this by you really quick. Here's what I'm sharing with everybody. So this is what you want to include. Okay, so business card, logo, your name, logo, your address is optional in the business card. You want your telephone, fax, email address, job title, if applicable. You've got yours in your logo, web page URL, and your LinkedIn page if applicable. And your letterhead, that's your business card. Okay, your letterhead, you definitely want that address. You want your name, your logo, address, telephone, email, webpage URL. Definitely want that return address though. And then in the letterhead, you want in the leave behind, you want all of your contact information on the leave behind. I think that's pretty understandable because in case the leave behind gets separated from the rest of the hiring package, the individual still has a way to contact you. Okay, so that's business card, letterhead. Let's go to the leave behind. And leave behind is really interesting. A couple of recommendations here. This is interesting for any ideas that pop up. I'm having a little bit of difficulty understanding the configuration here. Okay, so if a business card, if Post-it notes. Hang on one second. Let me just do something here really quickly. So, okay, so this is a 3.5 inch wide. Now, business card is 3.5 inches wide. Now, Post-it note is not quite 3.5 inches wide. So this is 3.5 inches wide. As the logo, the business card, going to fit in there. it's going to have to be turned on its side to fit in there, right? Because that's 3.5. That slot is 3.5 inches wide. So the business card isn't going to fit in a 3.5 inch wide slot. If the business card is 3.5 inches wide, it's going to have to be, the slot's going to have to be wider, or the business card is going to have to be narrower, right? Not by much, but definitely. Yeah. So I'm wondering about that. The other thing is this: if this is 3.5, then what happens here? This is the way I'm seeing it. Okay, so this, you got 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is going to be a little box. On one side of the box, you slip your business card. In the middle of the box, presumably, that's a slot where the Post-it notes would fit. So do the Post-it notes go in that little slot? So you pull out your Post-it notes and grab one as you need it? That's what I'm wondering. I'm just having a little bit of difficulty kind of visualizing this. Maybe you can mock it up. Can you mock this up so that we can see exactly how it works? It would help me tremendously. But anyways, let's talk about the design. I think it's a great idea. You got your die cut, your package. This would be perfect for applying to a position in a packaging design, because you've got your die lines here, your template for your package. That's fantastic. Your glue, your fold lines, your glue flaps, everything is perfect here. That's great. Really, really impressive. Excuse me. Excuse me. Typically, you don't want to apply ink to the inside of a package. It's going to be folded. It won't be seen anyway, so it's considered to be a non-cost effective technique. So I don't recommend applying ink to any area that's not visible in the box. Okay. Okay. So these are the 4 folds for the box. So I'm wondering what this is here. Yeah, I would love to see this visualized. If you could just mock this up, it would be fantastic. But as far as the design goes, this is good. You've got the reverse logo. That's excellent. I think that these HC, that's interesting there. But what I would recommend doing is this, is taking this logo right here and placing it on one of these as just your monogram. Or even, I think what would be more interesting is take all 3 of these panels and use different lockups for your logo. A lockup is basically a different version of your logo. It's going to show versatility. And basically, so this is a horizontal logo, right? But we take the monogram and place it above the name. Now it's a vertical. So it's called a stacked logo. And then there's other configurations if you want to even include another configuration, and just look up a logo lockups, and you'll see several different variations. You could even include a black and white version of your logo on the box. I think that, again, points to versatility. But as far as that goes, so I've covered the business card, I've covered the letterhead, I've covered the leave behind. So again, I would just love to, if you could describe this leave behind just a little bit further. I really got in here today and started looking at it. The first time I looked at it, I thought it's a great idea. It's a great idea. I'm just wondering how this is going to work out. So if you could assist me in understanding that and assist your classmates in understanding that, I think it would help us in deciphering any kind of recommendations for improvement. All right, fantastic job. Really, really good work here. So at this point, of course, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or if I can provide any clarifications, please let me know. I'll be glad to do so. All right, great start, Christiana. Thank you so much for sharing.